Hey there, beautiful souls. Have you ever felt that moment when your heart breaks so completely that something else takes its place? Something colder, something more calculated. After 45 years of marriage, I discovered my husband was having an affair with his nurse, and I chose his 70th birthday party to serve my revenge cold. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had to face such betrayal. I'm here with you. For decades, I was Margaret, Charles's devoted wife. I planned his birthdays, remembered his medication, and tolerated his moods. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was ours, built on 45 years of shared memories, inside jokes, and the comfortable silence that comes with truly knowing someone. Then, Jenny entered our lives. Young, beautiful Jenny, his nurse after his hip surgery. I noticed it slowly at first, how his eyes would light up when she entered the room, the way he'd straighten his posture despite the pain. Small things that most would overlook, but not a wife of nearly half a century. Not me. Their touches lingered too long. Their laughter carried private meanings. Her visits extended well beyond professional necessity. And Charles? He thought I didn't see. He thought the woman who had washed his clothes and shared his bed for decades had somehow gone blind to his betrayal. I watched them for months, collecting every glance, every whispered conversation, every late-night text that illuminated his phone while he thought I was sleeping. My heart shattered piece by piece, but I didn't cry. No, something different was happening inside me. Something transforming pain into purpose. Have you ever felt that transformation? When hurt crystallizes into clarity. Let me know in the comments below if you've been there. I decided Charles's 70th birthday would be special indeed. I invited everyone. Family, friends, colleagues, all the people whose respect he'd cultivated over decades. I ordered his favorite foods, hung golden balloons, and wore the dress he always complimented. And of course, I made sure Jenny would be there. After all, she was so much more than just his nurse now, wasn't she? That evening, our home filled with laughter and music. I moved through the crowd with practiced grace, the perfect hostess while carrying a volcano inside. I watched Charles and Jenny, how careful they were to maintain appropriate distance in public, yet how their eyes found each other across the room. Such amateurs at deception. When the time felt right, I gently tapped my champagne glass with a spoon. The clear ring sliced through conversations, and all eyes turned to me. Charles stood mid-laugh with Jenny not so coincidentally nearby. "Thank you all for coming tonight," I began, my voice warm and measured. "It means the world to Charles and me to have you here celebrating this milestone." I smiled, letting my gaze sweep across the room before landing on my husband. 70 years, I continued, and 45 of them spent with me. A lifetime of memories, joy, and of course, I paused, feeling power surge through me. Challenges. Charles raised his glass, ready to toast, completely unaware of what was coming. "To my husband," I said, my gaze shifting deliberately to Jenny, "and to the woman who has been so much more than just his nurse." The room froze. Glasses hovered mid-air, conversations died mid-sentence, and every eye turned toward Charles and Jenny. Her face went pale. His expression crumbled into confusion, then panic. "Surprise," I whispered, my smile never faltering. If you've ever confronted betrayal head-on, you know that time seems to stand still. Drop a comment below about how you handled your moment of truth. The silence that followed was delicious. Guests glanced at each other, unsure if they should intervene or look away from the implosion happening before them. Jenny's hand trembled as she set her glass down. Charles shifted uncomfortably, realizing there was no escape. "Charles, dear," I said softly, "don't look so surprised. You didn't think I'd let tonight pass without acknowledging everything you've shared with Jenny, did you?" Jenny stumbled backward. "Margaret, I think there's been a misunderstanding," she stammered, her voice brittle. I tilted my head slightly. "No, Jenny, no misunderstanding at all. Just clarity, something you seem unfamiliar with." Charles opened his mouth to speak, but I silenced him with a glance sharp enough to cut glass. "Please, Charles. We've all had enough of your stories." The party dissolved into uncomfortable murmurs. Some guests edged toward the door, uncertain whether to stay or escape the unfolding disaster. But I wasn't finished. "This affair of yours," I continued, my voice growing firmer. "Did you think it would remain your private indulgence? Did you think I wouldn't notice the late nights, the secret calls? How small you must think me." Charles lowered his gaze, his once proud demeanor now shattered under my unrelenting truth. Jenny, caught in the center, could only stand in frozen humiliation. And then I delivered my final blow. "But I suppose secrets have a way of coming to light, don't they?" I said, my tone sharper. "And tonight is only the beginning. Would you believe what happened next?" The back door creaked open, a sound that sent ripples through the already suffocating atmosphere. Every eye turned toward the darkened hallway. I had planned everything meticulously, down to the timing of that door. "Margaret," Charles whispered, his voice strained with fear. "What did you do?" I remained silent, my gaze fixed on the hallway. Then it happened. A scream pierced the air. One of the guests stumbled into the room from the hall, her hand clamped over her mouth, eyes wide with horror. "There's someone in there," she gasped. "In the pantry. Oh my God, there's blood everywhere!" The room erupted into chaos. People exchanged confused glances, trying to make sense of what they'd just heard. But I stood still, composed, hands folded calmly, as if the scene unfolding had no power to rattle me. Charles sprang to his feet, pulse visibly racing. "Margaret," he snapped, voice rising with disbelief. "What the hell is going on?" I met his gaze, cold and distant. "It seems the night has taken an unexpected turn." A group of guests cautiously moved toward the hallway. Someone flicked on a light, and collective gasps followed. There, lying on the floor of the pantry, was Jenny. Her lifeless body sprawled across tiles, blood pooled beneath her. "Oh my God," someone whispered. "She's dead." Charles stumbled backward, face ashen. He looked from the gruesome scene to me, heart pounding visibly in his chest. You did this," he whispered. I arched an eyebrow. Did I? That single question contained everything: doubt, possibility, and the seed of his destruction. Whether I had actually killed Jenny or simply created the perfect circumstances to destroy him no longer mattered. The narrative was mine. The police arrived shortly after. I answered their questions calmly while Charles fell apart. With each statement, each carefully chosen word, I tightened the web around him. The affair, the public humiliation, his obvious motive, everything pointed to him. As the officers led him away for questioning, Charles looked back at me one final time. In his eyes, I saw the question he couldn't voice. Had I actually killed Jenny, or had I orchestrated the perfect frame? I'll never tell him the answer. Some mysteries should remain just that. Standing on the porch, watching the police car disappear into the night, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. 45 years of marriage ending not with tears, but with calculated justice. The house, now quiet and empty, seemed to exhale with me. I poured myself a final glass of wine and sat at our kitchen table, the same place where we'd shared countless meals, arguments, and silences. The space felt different now. Lighter, cleaner. The betrayal was over, and all that remained was peace. Listen closely, beautiful souls. Betrayal doesn't just break hearts, it poisons souls. In the end lies buried love, and the weight of hidden truths will crush even the strongest bonds. We all wear masks, but when they fall, what remains is who we truly are. Be careful what you betray. It might be the thing you can never reclaim. If my story resonated with you, please hit subscribe and share your thoughts below. I'll be back next week with another story that reminds us all how thin the line between love and revenge can truly be. Until then, guard your hearts and watch your back.